Within the heart of every newborn baby lies either a cheat or a champion, a victim or a victor, a loser or a winner. And how you choose to guide your child's behavior will be the difference between parenting hell or parenting heaven.
Get over here! Because I said so! Why do I have to keep repeating myself? Mom or Dad, do you ever feel like a broken wrecker? You're listening to Learn to Speak Kit podcast on iTunes with Bonnie and Thomas Leota, positively transforming families one out-of-control child at a time.
Matthew 18:1-5, Jesus says, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me." You see, God made all of us in his image, and we have the ability to create our future. Now, many parents, I would say millions of parents, and in fact 99.9% of all parents are struggling with the behavior of their children from 2 to 25 based on the calls that we get. Some parents are still dealing with it at the age of 19 and 20. So we should get this, yes? Get how to create champions rather than raise whiny, complaining children. My name is Bonnie Leota. I'm here with my co-host Thomas Leota, and we help parents go from a dark, toxic environment with their kids to one that's more peaceful, full of harmony, full of love, joy, happiness, and connection. So, Thomas, where do you see we've kind of fallen off the mark and gotten to this place where every time you go to Walmart or go to the grocery store or standing in line up at Starbucks, you can hear a child crying and whining at their mom?
Well, the best answer here is that what if all of us parents out there didn't know that we didn't even know that it was really us that was causing it? That might be a little bit tough to take at first, but let's just entertain the idea at first. Do you ever wake up in the morning thinking, what can I do so I can yell at my kid? And is there any part of you that thinks like, do my kids really go to bed thinking what they can do to really piss me off tomorrow? And the answer is no. There is a path in nature that we must follow. And when we do, things are terrific. However, we're talking about the times that are terrible. Those power struggles, they just seem to, everything was just going great. I don't know what happened. Next thing I know, everyone's screaming, yelling, fighting. How did this happen? Kind of like just random. Or what if we were to actually start to buy into this idea that there's something wrong? Well, obviously it can't be the parent. So there must be something wrong with the child. And then all of a sudden we open up a whole door of labels, ideas, thoughts of what could be wrong. And we focus on the child. How many labels out there have you heard of, are experiencing, or maybe even thought that maybe your child has this? It seems like they're coming out with those daily, weekly, and monthly. And the third option could be, well, gosh, maybe I did do something a little off the mark. You know, like something simple and innocent of, I got lost driving my car. Now that somebody pointed it up to me, I took a left when I should have took a right. Oh, that seems fixable. Backtrack. Instead of going left, make the right. Hop, I'm at my destination, staying on track for a terrific family life. It's got to be one of the three. What else could it be?
See, if you're having trouble with the I caused that part, let's just digress just a moment. Who's the older one? Who was it that made a decision to bring children into this world? Who is the leader of the household or should be the leader of the household? And who is the one that creates the environment that your children grow up in? And if you answered me, then who is the cause in the universal law of cause and effect? The entire universe is governed by law. That's why you can look out in the fall and the trees naturally just change color, lose their leaves, go into winter mode. And in the springtime, right on time, they bloom and they come back to life. If we look at wildlife, you got the bunnies and they're making lots of babies in the spring, and they've got a few months with those babies to teach them how to hunt, teach them to protect themselves from predators. See, we have 18 years. We have more time to prepare our youth for the world than any other species to exist. Right? So babies aren't born and then learning how to talk, and then all of a sudden they know how to sit properly in a chair. They know how to use their manners. They know how to use the bathroom. See, we don't outgrow not learning how to drive a car. We have to actually take a class, read a book, watch some videos, go to a course with an instructor, sit there, drive practice for 30 hours or so before we can actually get our license. Because human beings, and this is from Dr. John Locke back in the 17th century, is that human beings are not born like spiders, born with natural neural pathways on how to build a web. Children are born with zero neural pathways, a completely open, blank slate, willing to accept any new idea you put there. So if we're raising a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 10-year-old, and they are defiant and they're telling you no, and they're maybe yelling or they're grasping at straws because they have no other neural pathway in their brain on how to make what's important to them actually show up, then we need to take a step back and say, where did my child learn to say that? Where did he get the words from? How did he learn to scream and yell, "You're the worst parent in the world"? Where did that come from? Because they weren't born knowing all that either. And that's why it's up to you and it's up to us to take personal responsibility for our children and the environment that they're learning and growing up in. And there is a natural pathway to teach and develop independence and confidence and self-assurance and self-control and self-discipline and all of these wonderful virtues that I know you would love your children to have. So what's the pathway, Tom?
Excellent. So we're going to let go of randomness. We're going to let go of blaming it on the kids, and we're going to take the responsibility card right here, right now. I have a role as a parent. My job is to teach my children life skills, period. And see, our private clients that we work with, sometimes as long as a year, to work through all these things to undo, this is where we start. Think of the nature's process like Bonnie talked about with the animals. We do everything for them. We feed them. Heck, we even do all the walking for them. Then the next phase is that we start to do together. Little monkey see, monkey do, following the leader. Remember watching the mama duck and all the little ducklings walk right behind? And we get to shift to the third phase where they get to do it all by themselves. Look at me. I no longer need you to feed me or change my diaper or basically get my clothes clean. The process of where these power struggles keep happening again and again and again and again, regardless of the age bracket, is along the way, ask yourself this: what am I still doing for my child that one day they're going to have to do all on their own? Am I doing it with them, or am I still doing it for them? Because if you are going to be part of the cause of the power struggle. The way that they share their message is completely an opinion, whether they're throwing themselves on the floor, threatening to kill themselves, everything in between. We look at it as Thank you. A learning opportunity. You know, you're right, little Timmy. You probably want to start doing this all on your own. Here I was. I fell into the lie that in order to be a perfectly good mom, I got to do all the laundry and be the chauffeur and do the cooking and the cleaning and whatever you need. I didn't know that until now. Thank you, Thomas and Bonnie, for bringing that to my attention. See, the child is really looking to be part of the process also. What if the child picked you to teach them everything they need so they don't need you anymore? Sounds like a pretty fun, healthy game there. So start off doing it for them. Do it with them so they can do it all on their own, because your number one job and priority as a parent is to teach those missing life skills so they can do, be, and have everything all on their own. And once again, be prepared for life, because anybody who's not prepared for life definitely would feel depressed, wouldn't you?
Well, not only that, they'll leave the house at the age of 25 and come home at the age of 26 because they have no life skills on how to win. Another scary statistic for you, if you don't think that this is important enough to engage in, is that a lot of our private clients are grandparents taking care of their grandbabies now because their children have had offspring and left because they were missing life skills. This is so important. You have the most important job on the whole planet, Mom, Dad. We are raising the next generation. And with 54% of our kids diagnosed and medicated, who's literally going to run our world by the time your children become adults? Like, who's going to run the government? Who's going to run the businesses? Who's going to run our economy? Who's going to run healthcare? I mean, think about this. If we don't get this, we're all going to die. Okay? That's how important this is. All right? Now, when we start asking, what do I do now that my child and I are fighting? It's kind of like asking, what do I do now when you've jumped out of the plane without a parachute? You're just going to have to enjoy the ride. What we're talking to you about is thinking first, acting second, taking the time to actually think about what does my child need to learn right now? Because if your child's 2, they can start getting themselves dressed, carrying their dishes to the dishwasher. They can put their toys away. They can be taught to act first. They can have self-control training by sitting still for 30 seconds before mealtime, upping it to a minute, up to 5 minutes. This is how you can prepare your child or your toddler for school, because so many of us are just doing everything for our little ones and then sending them off to kindergarten, and then they have no neural pathways on how to get along, how to share, how to listen to a teacher, how to sit still for 5 minutes. That is on us. There's nothing wrong with the children. We've missed some imperative life skills training in their first 5 or 6 years, and missing this window is setting them up for massive failure. Teenage suicide, the number one cause of death for teenagers on a global scale. My daughter's high school, she was the only teenager in her art therapy class that was not on antidepressants. See, those kids weren't diagnosed with ADHD, but they've been diagnosed with depression or anxiety, because they're missing life skills. They have no idea how to master their emotions. They have no idea what vision to hold for their future. The Bible also says that people without vision perish. We've got to start letting our kids struggle, as Tom said. Do it for them, and then do it with them, and then let them struggle through it on their own. It is the struggle that will give our children character. It's the struggle that will allow them to grow successful roots of persistence and tenacity and decision making and all of this great virtues that help us be successful later on in life.
Can you go back in time with me and think about a moment when you figured something out, whether somebody was around or not, and it just clicked? Look what I did. That magical moment of just pure joy, love, and happiness that just radiates out like dropping a rock in a lake and the ripples go all the way around the shore. Think of that magical moment. Now, parents, if you got into parenting because you're looking for fame and fortune, you're not going to find it here. Children are not at the level yet where they can go, wow, way to go, Mom. Boy, you're really kicking butt teaching me these life skills. Man, you're awesome. You're not going to get that until later. But for right now, you are going to get those magical moments in parenting where the child just gets excited. If it is to be, it's up to me. Do it for them. Do it with them so they can step into their empowerment and be like, I just did that too. Once a child is there, it is one of the turning points of, well, try not to walk. Or once you learn how to ride a bike, try not to ride a bike. Once you got it, you got it. The confidence is so through the roof that when they're all by themselves on the playground, or they're out in the neighborhood, or getting ready to be on their own, they have references like roots to a tree. The more roots that you have, the stronger that tree can stand in all the adversities of rain and storm. Because yes, your child can do good when they're around you, but it's when they're on their own is what counts. And being able to get them there is our job. Do it for them, you bet. But when there's a power struggle, am I doing too much? Maybe we should start doing a little bit on here. Maybe they're asking, hey, what about me? Can I have a turn? They may not intellectually say it that way, but it's up to us to know the process. And yes, once we help them with one thing, like Bonnie alluded earlier, when a toddler is old enough to walk over and grab a toy off of a shelf or out of the box, that's the window to show them the complete life cycle. The toy sleeps on the shelf. It comes out and plays. Maybe it needs to be wiped down or cleaned, and then it goes back to sleep over there on the shelf. Completing that life cycle for them, with them, so they can do it on their own at age 2. How much energy does a mom love playtime when the children clean up after themselves versus, oh boy, she's having some friends over. I'm going to have about 2 hours of having to clean up. Oh boy, we wonder why moms and dads, especially moms, are so stressed out and are tired and sick of being sick and tired.
Well, if you're sick of being sick and tired, living in a dark, toxic environment, yelling and arguing with your kids all day long, make sure to visit our website. We have a few freebies, but the one I highly suggest you get engaged in is our brand new must-read book for all parents that shows history, hope, and healing for families because it shows the path to mental illness and then directs you on the path to mental wellness. So whether you end up with a victim or victor, a cheat or a champion, the result is completely up to you. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to you visiting us on our next episode of Learn to Speak Kid
over here
on iTunes.
Because I said so. Why do I have to keep repeating myself? Mom or Dad, do you ever feel like a broken record? You're listening to Learn to Speak Kid podcast on iTunes with Bonnie and Thomas Leota, positively transforming families one out of control child at a time.